Geomagnetic storms represent one of the most underestimated but potentially devastating forms of natural disaster. A G5 class disturbance similar in intensity to the 1859 Carrington event remains within statistical likelihood during the peak of solar cycle 25, which we are told is due in July, less than 3 months away. I decided to do some analytical research with the help of advanced intelligence, in this case, ChatGPT-4 Scholar and Science models, to look in more detail at how big the threat was and whether we should really be concerned and start preparing for July and solar 2025. After doing background research, I asked ChatGPT to put together an analytical and academic level piece of research first in a research report format. I then asked it to look at a worst case scenario and put together diagrammatic evidence in the form of bar charts and some potential infographics that would be of use, and those you can find at the end of this presentation. Above, you will see the academic report that was first produced. Notable areas from this are the estimated economic losses to the energy sector are between 0.8 and 1.2 trillion US dollars globally, with the risks including transformers burning out, requiring months to replace them, gas pipeline control losses, and in financial services, losses exceeding $250 billion due to things like market closures, flash crashes, disruption to interbank payment networks, ATM outages. In satellites and aerospaces, obviously, we've got Elon Musk to look after everything, and Starlink's done pretty well in earlier tests, let's say. But the estimated losses, again, are 100 billion US dollars. In aviation and transport, this is probably the most threatening. Disruptions in polar flight routes and radiation and communications loss, GNSS navigation failures, and ground radar degradation, not to mention the actual risk of flying and for the flight crew themselves. Data and cloud infrastructure, EMP-style surges can cause data center power loss and RAID controller failures. Backup systems only last normally 6 to 12 hours without refueling logistics. Astronauts, radiation exposure. Well, this is a big one as well. Deep space missions face increased exposure from trapped particle belts. I have read reports that this has already started to happen, particularly for airline crew who are regularly flying at above 30,000 feet. In terms of public safety and panic, well, it's absolutely huge, but we're looking at urban centres experience panic due to blackout, ATM outage, lack of mobile signal, increased emergency call, overloaded networks, and then we have to inevitably get on to the medical side of this. Life support systems in ICUs threatened, and then obviously pharmaceutical manufacturing, delivery, all the logistics that surround the medical industry. On a scientific base, and looking at the modelling, the NOAA and ESA observational satellites provide real-time CME velocity and BZ predictions. Models such as the ENLIL, the DST index projections, and the GIC predictive algorithms only offer a 6 to 12 hour early warning, so we've got a huge unpredictability here. However, we've also got to look at the longer-term strategic implications. These are things like satellite redundancies, space weather problems, policy recommendations going forward, and in conclusion, a worst-case geomagnetic storm of July 2025 could possess a systemic risk across all sectors, nations, and time zones, with cross-disciplinary collaboration between space weather scientists, electrical engineers, and policymakers absolutely essential to prevent some terrible impact from what could all be triggered by a natural event, which could turn into a human catastrophe. A reminder, this is based on a worst-case scenario.